Welcome to Hash Rugby Chat, Super Rugby round, not Hash Rugby Chat, what am I talking about? What an awful start. This would be a blooper if it wasn't live. Anyway, hi, hello and welcome to the Super Rugby round 3 preview. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and I've just been pouring my bottle of, misconduct. So hopefully there'll be no misconduct on the show. You have been warned, Shane. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Paul. How are you?
I'm having a shocker. I'm all over the shop. Let's be honest. And those of you who are on Twitter, yes, I've had a bad day today. Had some bad news. So, sorry. Hopefully the tone will be good and I'll get back on to form soon. But don't worry, the channel's not going anywhere. The rugby's all going to be happening. So, whatever you read on Twitter, don't worry too much about it. So, this weekend, action, as always. We kick off with the Blues versus the Crusaders. Last year, the Blues got within a point. Can't see it happening this year. Can you, Shane?
If they were like they were in Newcastle, they must have listened to some Elvis before the game, because they were certainly putting the big hits out on the field. They got to do a bit more of that.
They have to do a lot more of that. The boys will be doing a lot more of that. Our Carl Twin of Caffey, Kurt Eklund, and Sione Mafileo are going to. No, that's not true. That's last week's one, isn't it? I thought I saw James Parson was starting this week. No, yes, that's last week's lineup I'm talking about. It's absolute rubbish. Clearly, they've not updated their website, which really does not help at all. So, let me quickly jump on to the Tribe Sports app. They still have a bunch of injury issues, and that means that, yes, we do still have, it is Carl Twin of Caffey, but he's got James Parsons next to him, and Offa Tuangafasi is on the other side. So 2 All Blacks there, plus the one who's been with the All Black squad before in that front row. Patrick Tuipulotu and Goodhue are in the engine room with Papi Leahy, Gibson, and Sotutu there in the Lucy. So again, Noah Kiriawani, Sotutu getting the shout there at 8. Ruru and Perifetta in that 9-10 combinations, they're keeping that going with TJ Faiani, Joe Marchant, the English guy over from Harlequins, having a decent start with Highland, Talia on the wings, and Matt Duffy at fullback. Just quickly on the bench, Kurt Eklund, who's had a good start in the hooker in the last two weekends. Lindemann and Mafileo, so maybe a little bit weaker in the props or less depth because of injuries. Tom Robinson, Tony Lambourne is back from injury, had a really good first game. Knock, Plummer, and Anoa are the backs replacements. Injuries starting to show for this blue side.
Yeah, and their refusal to play Ioane certainly that's very interesting. I know a few Australian rugby sides that wouldn't mind someone like him on their list.
Look, I mean, talent-wise, the guy's a freak. Okay, he's in a good way, right? Not in a bad way. He's a really, really good player. He has the skills to do a lot of damage to teams. The problem is A, his work rate, and B, his attitude. It's just not there. Unfortunately, he doesn't understand what being a professional rugby player is all about, which is a real shame.
It's more than a shame, Paul, because I love watching him play. Like, he can monster opponents. Certainly, regardless of whether he was playing or not, I think the Crusaders would have still had a bit of an uphill battle in this one. The Blues. Where have I been?
I mean, they obviously started out. They got a first half lead against the Chiefs and let it go, but they got the result over in Newcastle against the Tars side. For the Crusaders, we've got Moody, Taylor, Oliver Jaeger in that front row. So Cody Taylor, is that his first one back? No, it's not. No, he was back last week as well. Scott Barrett and Dunshay in the engine room. So Barrett good back into number 4, not playing, not messing around, having him at in anything like 6. Grace, Christie, and Saunders in the Lucy's there. Christie's actually been doing pretty well as a replacement for Matt Todd, ex-under-20s captain. Paul and Mwanga. So Richard Mwanga's back, which is fantastic for them. Obviously last week, David Havili had to fill in there. Centres, Goodhue and Enor. And a back 3, geez, I feel sorry for people. George Bridge, Sever Reese, and David Havili. That is one hell of a back 3. Or one hell of a back line, actually, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. When they get on song, they sing a mighty fine song. So we talked about the big hits that the Blues put on in Newcastle, well, the Crusaders have got some even bigger hits to play. So, just watch these Crusaders roll on and start again. They might have had one blip against the Chiefs, but it doesn't mean that they're slowing down after 3 in a row. They'll be right up there again.
Yeah, and on the reserve bench, they're coming off. Got Makileo, Boa, Alatoa, Luke Romano. Look, he's getting on a bit, but as a replacement off the bench, 20 minutes, fantastic to have. Sione Havili with his Crusaders debut, Mitchell Drummond, Brett Cameron, and Will Jordan round out that bench. So yeah, look, more youth off that bench in the forms of Cameron and Jordan. But yeah, that bench will also cause damage. They've got the thing that makes the Crusaders rugby so good is they make it look easy. And the reason they make it look easy is because the amount of work these players put in off the ball, running those support lines. And if you've got two options every time with supporting players, it makes it A, much easier for you to find somebody, and B, it makes that defence have to think the whole time as to who they're trying to cover. If they don't let their players get isolated, and that's going to be the Blues. Pardon me. The big challenge this weekend is just keeping that work rate up on defence. Pardon me, because the Crusaders make you work really hard on defence. So what's your call on this one?
Crusaders by 10.
Crusaders by 10. I've gone Crusaders 2, but I'm trying to remember how many by. Just bring up my predictions. My predictions for this have been up on the website since Monday evening. If you so you head over to DrivingMaul.com and you can check out that. I've got predictions also for the Pro 14, Gallagher Premiership, and Major League Rugby as well up there around the top 14. I've forgotten that was on this weekend. So there's just so much rugby on this weekend. It's just a bit nuts. But I've gone Crusaders by 7. But yeah, again, comfortable victory for the travelling side. We then head over the ditch where the Rebels host the Waratahs. I mean, two sides here that really have had shocking starts to the season.
Yeah, and being Valentine's Day tomorrow, there's certainly no love lost between these two Australian sides. It's still Friday night fight night as far as we're concerned over here. And bring it on, two sides desperate for a win.
It is, and I've not got the. Let me bring up the. I thought I had the list up there. It is. We've got some changes in for the Tars this time. Up front, Gibbon, Rangi, and Smith, with Philip and Haylett Petty in the engine room. Hardwick, Wells, and Nazarani are the loosies, and Nazarani's going to need a big night carrying. Lawrence with Matt Tamua in that 10-9 combination. And then Meeks and Magnay. So no Reece Hodge. He's moved out one to 14 on the wing. He was at 13 previously. And then Corabetti and Dane Helmet-Petty round things out. I'm not sure I know much about Magnay in that 13 jersey. Is he one of the young guns?
Yeah, Campbell Magnay was at the Reds system. He had a few injuries during his time at the Reds. Then he did a year in Japan. Then he came back to the Rebels last year and played a few games. So he's only a young bloke too. He's only in his early 20s, so he's certainly got time. Considered a Wallaby of the future. I certainly hope so. I think he's at the wrong side for that, but
well, yeah, you have to be wearing blue for the Tars really to be able to do that. But yes, keep an eye on him. Off the bench, Misa, Oro, Eloff, Kulenberg, Liotto, Cottrell, Lumani, and Callaway. So Cottrell, that's a 6-2 bench, isn't it?
And so, I think I probably know the reason why they've gone that way, because tomorrow night's going to be a lot of running and a lot of midfield work. And to have Cottrell off your bench tells you that, when the Waratahs are running hard and you've got a flanker virtually, they're going to be looking for some turnover ball, and if the score's pretty tight within 20 to play.
Yep. So we're going to expect the Rebels to really run their forwards hard and then replace them pretty early. So they've got plenty of them to come off the bench. For the Tars, we've got Bell, Abel and Johnson Holmes in the front row. Stanley Forth and Simmons, who's captaining. Holloway, Hooper, and Dempsey in that 6-7-8 combo. Jake Gordon and Will Harrison. It's good to see Harrison getting that sustained time in that 10 jersey. With Carmichael Hunt and Alex Newsom in the centres. Maddox, Clark, and Curtly Beale are your back three yet again. So pretty consistent here from from Penny in his selections.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm really pleased at keeping faith with Will Harrison. I suppose you could play Beale at 10 for a derby compared to, say, against international opponents, but don't. Give the young blokes continual time to develop themselves. I think it's pretty consistent, but it is good to see Jack Maddox starting this game and Jack Dempsey starting this game. So obviously, with two Australian sides, we're looking at potential Wallabies against each other here.
Yep.
It'll be a good night.
It'll be a good night. Off the bench, we've got Fitzpatrick, Robertson, Faulkner, McCooley, Swinton, Mitch Short, Laikai Foketti, and Mark Nawa Quintawesi. And Nawa Quintawesi, really good player, who unfortunately took a head knock last week. I personally would have liked to have seen him rested this week because of that concussion. But yeah, at least he's starting on the bench and not on the pitch. But still, I think he could have taken a week off because he had a pretty nasty head knock last week.
Known as Marky Mark.
That's right. Yeah, to make it a little bit easier for those of us with a Western tongue who really need to practice more. But yes.
And I've already really enjoyed watching him play in these first couple of rounds. I hope he does really well and has a really good career. But I hope that he's not given that pressure that they put on these youngsters to say, he's Wallaby of the making, he's going to be a superstar. Just let them go out there and enjoy their rugby with their mates.
Yeah, absolutely. Big, tall winger. Not stocky, but very tall, which means things like crossfield kicks and stuff, fantastic for. Also getting in the eye of the opposition and picking off interceptions as well. Also, he's got pace and some nice hands. I've enjoyed watching him play. As I say, purely for his own safety and well-being, I wish he'd taken the week off. But apart from that, yeah, good, interesting sections there. So which way have you gone with these? Because I think both these sides, as I say, had shocking starts to the season. Obviously, Rebels with that big loss to the Sunwolves and the Tars, seemingly getting themselves into situations, but taking the wrong options most of the time. We're not talking about you, Curtly Beale, much, honest governor. Which way are you leaning with these two?
Oh, it's going to be a great Australian derby in the spirit of Australian derbies. The Waratahs by 3.
What Shane means is don't expect a high quality rugby, but there's going to be plenty of effort and heart. You've gone Tars by 3. I've gone Rebels by 3, purely on home advantage. Both have been really need to step up their games. Next up, we have the Sunwolves versus the Chiefs. Now, this has been perhaps the worst possible scheduling the Sunwolves could have had. Great first opening game, playing some really enjoyable rugby that you can see the players enjoying to play. Being told, go out there, just try things and give it a go, and they've really responded to that. And then they get a week off after a good win, and then they get to play the Chiefs, who are one of the top 5 teams in this competition. If they'd had a couple of easier games, or had a game last week and got some momentum, it really would have helped them. But anyway, Adams, Brevgaard, Van Vuren at the front row, Matebi, Stolberg in the engine room, Jacobson, Shorts, Jacobson, Nuwamaki, and then Shorks at 8, who's the captain. Sayato and April are the 9 and 10. Teo, Moriah in the centres. Tassi, Fafita, and Dargaville are the backs. And then off the bench, Maafu, Eves, Van Wink, Downey, Tupu, Kimura, Nakano, and Engelbrecht. So I've gone blank as to the South African scrum half who started last time. So yeah, they're switching it around up there in the Sunwolves.
Yeah, and expect April and Ben Teo being international, um, being virtually international players, to have to step up in this one and really show some leadership, because the Chiefs won't make the same mistake twice like they did last year again in this. I know it was a different Sunwolf side to this year, but I think there's something really special about the Chiefs this year, and I'm quite excited to see them come together with a new game plan under Gatlin, I've got to say.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because Jacobson, obviously the younger brother of Luke Jacobson, who isn't available yet for the Chiefs, but he played for the Chiefs last year, so he will definitely be looking to put in a good performance against a bunch of players he knows very well. He's from Hamilton, or just outside of Hamilton. So yeah, he's definitely a Waikato boy, so he'll be definitely looking to do that. In some ways, what I think's happened here is we're seeing. I think week one, they'd only had a couple of weeks together, so it was any kind of combinations they could put out on the pitch, or they put out on the pitch. What I think we're seeing here with players like Seato coming in is that they're starting to get is as players have actually got some training time together. The coaches can bring in different combinations and can start bringing some of the Japanese players through. So it's good to see. And they're up against one of the top teams in the conference or in the competition. But I just hope they play with that freedom that they play with in the opening round. Quickly through the Chiefs, Ross, Slater, Molly are the front three. Tyler Ardron and Mike Allardyce in the engine room. Adam Thompson comes on for his Chiefs debut, obviously not debut of Super Rugby, with Lachlan Bashir and Dylan Nell. So a very different loose trio there. Previously they'd been playing Boshier, Karifi, not Karifi, Boshier, begins with a K anyway, and Sam Kane. So 3 sevens essentially. This week, obviously with Adam Thompson to prop 6 and Dylan Nell is an 8. So a much more balanced back row than before. Weber and Caleb Trask get the 9-10 combo. Nankiville and Tapia are in 12 and 13, with Alamalo, Stevenson and David McKenzie as the back three. So obviously Triple T and Cruden getting being rotated there. And say also those loosies have been rotated as well. Looking at the bench, Samasoni, Tuakayo, Ross Glendenheis, Ruben O'Neill, which will be his Super Rugby debut. Arkoi in the lock, Mitchell Brown as the Lucy, Triple T, Ty Falcon, and Auburn Ledger. Now Auburn Ledger really a 10-12 in there, so that's going to be kind of interesting. They don't really have any back three replacements. Maybe Ty Falcon could go to fullback, but they're stacked with playmakers on the bench. When you've also got Caleb Trask and David McKenzie, there's a lot of playmaking in this team.
Yeah, and because I noticed on my Twitter feed this afternoon through Mike Pullman, who's a great Chiefs supporter and a damn good bloke too. I saw that he had that,
and also beat writer for the Chiefs. So if you do follow real Mike Pullman on Twitter if you want to get all the latest updates on the Chiefs.
And get behind him. He had the team list there I noticed the difference between some of the experience and youth, and that is great to see that the Chiefs and Warren Gatlin's experimenting with combinations and his depth, and it's probably a good chance to do that in this game. So, I still expect the Chiefs to come out and win this pool, and I think they'll play some good rugby because they've got some. I'm looking forward to McKenzie hopefully working his way through some line breaks and half breaks and creating some real chances.
Yeah, it's a real mix of experience and youth. I mean, Bradley Slater, the starting hook, has got 4 caps. Caleb Trask just the one, Quintapire 2 off the bench. Ross Glendenhouse, well, he's only got one cap for the Chiefs, but he's played for 6 different Super Rugby franchises. But Arcoa is his second cap, Falcons third for the Chiefs, Auburn Leisure second for the Chiefs. So yeah, there's a number of young players there being mixed with more experienced ones. Yeah, let's be honest, they are using this round to rest some players. It's the Sunwolves. It's going to happen. Yeah, however good the Sunwolves were last time. I've got Chiefs by 7 because yeah, they are rotating players. How have you got yourself?
I've got them by 10.
By 10? Yep. Okay. I can live with that one. Next up, the Hurricanes are hosting the Sharks. We don't have the Sharks lineup yet, but for the Hurricanes, it's a big one because Dane Coles is back on the bench. But let's just run through the starting lineup first. Armstrong, Amua, Lomax, Walker, Laurie, and Scrafton in the engine room. Fafita, Evans, and Princip are your loose trio. TJ Piranara and Jackson Garden Bash for the 9-10. Lamapi and Arso are in the midfield, with Ben Lam, Hooson, and Barrett are the back 3. Dane Coles, Rakati Stones, and Fidel are the front row replacements. Liam Mitchell gets a chance in the match day 23. Karifi is the Lucy. Jamie Booth, Fletcher Smith, and Billy Proctor. So Billy Proctor dropping to the bench. He was also starting at 13 for the opening couple of rounds. So the opening couple of rounds were in South Africa and Argentina. Now they've travelled back here. So they've actually done more travel than the Sharks have.
They have, but they picked up the pace a little bit with their win, as we were discussing on Sunday in the post-game show. Paul, they had to do it the tough way, but they got that win that they needed to kickstart their season. And believe it or not, Paul, 2 years ago when these sides played, the Hurricanes came very late and won by a point. And so this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. Yeah,
this is going to be a tight one. I mean, look, the Sharks beat the Highlanders last weekend, but the Highlanders, I think they've got the selections wrong, as we'll talk about in a second. I think they're not up to speed by any stretch. But the Sharks still opening 2 rounds with 2 wins. Let's remember, they travel well. They drew with the Crusaders last year. Yeah. They like playing in New Zealand for some reason. You say this is going to be a tight one. I've gone Hurricanes by 3, but it's going to come down to it's going to be the Hurricanes attack versus this Sharks defence, because that's really where they've manned up this season.
Mm. I think the tight fives will actually decide this one.
Okay.
If the Lucies, if they get enough ball to the Lucies to make some good ground, the backs will take advantage. I've gone the Hurricanes by the solitary point, as it was 2 years ago. I think this is going to be a really good game, and the Sharks will be up for it. The Hurricanes will be up for it. They've got that start now that they want with that win in Argentina. Really want to see a lot more from someone like Jackson Garden Bishop. I think this really is his last chance at this level, given the talent and the potential that he has had. I'd like to see a lot more from the Hurricanes, but I think they'll pull this off.
Yeah, same here. I think it's going to be a tight one. They're going to pull it off. I'll be doing live post-match reaction to the Blues versus the Crusaders, and also the Hurricanes versus the Sharks. So do join me on YouTube. Just click subscribe down below, hit that bell so you get the notifications and don't miss any of the shows. Straight after that then, we head over to Canberra for the Brumbies versus the Hurricanes. Brumbies had a really good start to the season, 2 wins, topping the Australia Conference, looking pretty good. Looking at their lineup, they've gone Slipper, Fayanga and Alatoa, who captains the side in that front row, so an all Wallabies front row. Swain and Douglas in the engine room. Valentini for Valentine's weekend, with Miller and Samu, the loose trio, which gives you a nice balance there. Joe Powell and Loliesio in the decision making. Siomi adding out a bit of experience outside of that young 10, and Kieran Drani at 13. Then Tom Wright. I'm playing Simone twice. Tom Wright, Kata, the rugby league convert, and Tom Banks in the back 3 there. yeah, a lot of people are excited about Catherine. He's had a decent start, hasn't he? His first couple of games.
Yeah, and he got the try last week, and I thought he was okay against the Rebels. And he'll keep growing into that, I'm sure, with a not a bad backline actually. Young Noah's the one that's really starting to just relax and enjoy his rugby with the pack and the backline he's got. So um, just give that young fella some time as well, and just go out there and enjoy it. Interesting that they put Slipper instead of CO, but they can do that with the having two great Wallaby forwards either on your bench or in your starting position. So, but I think they've gone with Slipper's experience,
Well,
just a little more than CO.
Just quickly go through that bench then. McInnery, Ross, and CO are the front row replacements. Neville, McCaffrey are the other front row replacements, and we got Longeran, Ikatau, and Merhead as your backs replacements. So yeah, I've got to say I do like how the Tars and the Brumbies are sticking with these young tens, giving them a chance. Having someone, as you say, like CO, look, it's a long season. Being able to rotate CO and Slip around, give them and keep them both fresh, and have that power off the bench is going to be good for this Brumbies team in the long run. But this is, well, a lot of people are kind of saying this is the Brumbies' first real test. They've beaten the Reds and the Rebels so far, to Australian sides. This is their first overseas opposition. But it's the Highlanders who didn't really, didn't click last weekend. Is this really their first real test, or can we say actually, look, this Brumby side is actually okay?
Oh, look, I think it's going to be a good game for what it's worth, Paul. I think it is a test in terms of New Zealand opponents, because the Highlanders will bounce back. They were disgusting against the Sharks. It's got to be said. You can't do that against any opposition and expect to, 30-3 down at one stage. They were very lucky that it was really 22 points in the end. But in terms of a test for the Brumbies will always be up for things. They're Australia's best rugby side in this comp. So the Brumbies will be looking to be very competitive against the New Zealand sides, and I think it'll be close.
Yep. So the Highlanders coming across, got Johnston, Coltman, and Tokalai on the front row. Jesse Parity and Josh Dixon in the engine room. Look, Jesse Parity can play six. He's a bit of a light locking department, really. So this is not a power pack. This is more of a mobile pack. Frizzell and Lenchis and Makalei too are the Lucy's. Aaron Smith, Mitchell Hunt in that 9-10 combination. Joshuani and Rob Thompson in the 12-13. Nariki in the 11 jersey. Tompkinson in the 14 jersey, and Josh Mackay in the 15 jersey. Now, this is where selections, where I think where the Highlanders went wrong. Look, the Highlanders clearly like Mitchell Hunt, right? They really rate him. But they're trying to play Joshuani as well. Now, Joshuani is a 10 or 15. He is not a 12, right? No. And so shoehorn him in there is not right. You then have Tompkinson, very much a 12, and you're putting him out on the wing. Look, I'd much rather they drop Joshuani back to 15 and put Josh Mackay on the wing. Josh Mackay can play wing. Yeah, he's a 15, but he can also play wing. It'll be a much better balance that back row. The through selection, the Highlanders have just got a totally unbalanced back row. They've got the wrong players in the wrong in the wrong positions, or the right players in the wrong positions, which is a real shame for them. On the bench, Ash Dixon, Daniel Leonard Brown, Conan O'Donnell, Jack Wetton, and Dylan Hunt are the remaining front row replacements. Then you've got Kane Hamilton, Michael Collins, and Ben Nicholas. Now, Michael Collins, obviously a centre come fullback. So yeah, obviously if Mitch Hunt goes down, clearly Joshuani will move into that 10 jersey. But that's how they're doing that. But yeah, I'm just really unhappy with the selection choices of the Highlanders. I think they've got players. I just think they're just got bad coaching.
Mm.
Or bad selection rather than bad coaching. Sorry, because they got some wonderful coaches down there, but they just don't seem to get. I'm just disagree with their selection.
So do I. And if I've mentioned beforehand, I think I mentioned also on Sunday that the Highlanders have started to be a little bit more inconsistent as time goes by, particularly over the last 2 years. And it's not nice to watch because memories of 2015 and 2016, and you contrast that, they were probably lucky to win in 2015. The Hurricanes were virtually the favourites that year, being minor premiers, but that's another story. That the Highlanders, something wrong with that selection, and you're right, Awani is either a 10 or a 15. I'll look forward to seeing how he goes at 12. For what it's worth, I've actually predicted the Highlanders, but it'll be a close game.
I've gone Brumbies by 5 with that because I knew they were going to go with the selection, and I just I get they rate Mitchell Hunt. That's really cool for Mitchell Hunt, but it's not really cool for Josh Ioane, unfortunately. Now the remaining games we've not got selections for. We've got the Lions versus the Stormers. The Lions, folks, if you like quality handling, don't touch this game with a barge pole, right? Last week, the Lions gave away 12 scrums and the Stormers gave away 13 scrums, right? That's a lot of handling errors by these two sides. So if you love scrums, then please watch this game because you're going to get quite a few of them. The Stormers, they're getting the wins, which has got to be the important thing for them.
Well, they've kept both sides to
Dill, yeah.
The donut virtually, so it's 40-0 in their favour on the table. I don't think there's going to be a great game, Paul.
No.
I don't think it's going to be a great game. Again, without seeing who's playing in both sides, it's a little hard to make a true and accurate position, but I've gone the Stormers by 5.
Yeah, I've gone Stormers by 7. Again, don't expect a high-scoring game. Don't expect a particularly free-flowing or scintillating game. The Stormers and the Stormers will probably actually give up some points because as much as we might malign Elton Yankees, he does rack up points. I think he's got over 1,000 points now. He's one of the top-scoring South African Super Rugby players. Expect the Lions to at least get 3. Remember, it's at altitude, which means that those longer kicks come into account. Finally, on Sunday, we have the Jaguares versus the Reds. Now, the Jaguares obviously started well with beating the Lions, then lost to a very late try, or very late to the the Hurricanes last weekend. The Reds opening with losses to the Brumbies and the Lions. This has got home win written all over it, hasn't it?
It does. It does. And as much as I thought the Reds' effort wasn't a bad effort last Saturday, it's very hard for anyone to go to Argentina and come away with anything. The Hurricanes very lucky in the end, but the Jaguares, they'll turn up. They've got some really, they've got virtually a test side to play with that depth there, and they'll just probably make amends for the week again, not having seen the lineups. I've got them by 7.
I've got Jaguares by 10, so a little bit more confident than you on those on these two. Then finally, the Bulls, I've got the bye. Look, they've opened up with 2 losses and no bonus points in the first 2 rounds. So 4-15 against 36. Look, I think for the Bulls, normally having a bye this early is not a good thing because your players aren't tired yet, and it means you're going to get tired later on. But for a side who've lost their opening 2, it's not a bad idea to have a break at this point when the coaches can drag the players, get them all around, and say, right, guys, we're fixing some stuff. So let's hope that's what the Bulls do.
We're going to have a few beers on Saturday.
A few beers and a few home truths between them. Yeah, look, guys, you're not playing very well. So they need to. So hopefully they use this bye week well. Normally I'd say it's a bad thing for a team to buy this early, but I think for the Bulls, actually, it's probably a blessing for them because it means they can get something sorted out in the squad. Shane, Schooler Mate is where people can get hold of you. It's on screen, so folks do have a chat with Shane on Twitter during the week. I will be back, as I say, straight after the Blues versus the Crusaders and the Hurricanes versus the Sharks this weekend. So join for post-match reaction to those two. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, so you don't miss those. Thank you very much for your time, Shane.
Thanks, Paul. Let's hope it's a really good weekend of rugby and some close matches, but also some entertaining rugby.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Do enjoy rugby this weekend. A couple of things I just want to tell you about on the channel. Adrian Skeggs, I had an interview with him about growing rugby in Australia, so that's available on DrivingMaul.com to everybody. And then also available just to my supporters. I had a chat to the CEO of Bay of Plenty Rugby about their high performance setup and about how they're partnering with China Lions in global rapid rugby. So if you want to have a read of that, have a listen to that or watch that interview, head over to DrivingMaul.com to watch that. You can become a supporter for as little as $1 a month. It really is quite reasonable, I think. And then next week I'm hoping to talk to the head of women's rugby at Bay of Plenty to talk about how we can make the women's game go from being a community game to a professional game from a funding model. So that's there as well. So yeah, getting to talk to some of the people who won't necessarily normally get to hear from through that mainstream press. Thank you very much, folks, and catch you all next time.